can close it.
We are very much glad to invite Dr.Iniyan Elango, who is a specialist in sexual medicine and counseling psychotherapy. He also holds a master's degree in human rights law. He was trained in London and Liverpool in England. Now he is with us to share his idea about media and Buddhism. It is our pleasure to have you here, sir. Now I call upon our new first MSc, who is going to felicitate our guest, Dr. Iniyan Elango. I request Professor Sumana ma'am come up and moderate the session. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone present here. I invite Dr. Iniyan Elango to talk on the topic media and Buddhism in the situation where media is certainly constructive about the religion.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everybody, ladies and gentlemen, friends and comrades, brothers and sisters. Thank you very much for inviting me this afternoon. I thank the Department of Visual Communications of Loyola College and the Institute of Dialogue with Cultures and Religions for giving me this opportunity to speak on Buddhism and media. Now, I wish I had the time to prepare slides and PowerPoint presentations, but unfortunately I haven't got any. But I would like to outline the basic premise of my presentation and then spend some time in analyzing the basic premise of my presentation. Now, my topic is Buddhism and the media. Before I go any further, I have to clearly explain to you what I mean by Buddhism in the Indian perspective, in the Indian situation, or from my own personal perspective. Because Buddhism is practiced all over the world. There are Buddhists in Sri Lanka, there are Buddhists in Cambodia, there are Buddhists in Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, China, America, Europe. But in the Indian social situation, Buddhism takes a totally different and revolutionary meaning. When I say Buddhism in the Indian situation, I mean the Buddhism propounded by the architect of our constitution, Dr.B.R.Ambedkar. Now, the Buddhism propounded by him differs from the Buddhism practiced by Buddhists in other countries. Because Dr. Ambedkar saw Buddhism as a revolutionary tool to annihilate the caste system and also to empower people to escape the oppression of the caste system and also to defy the Hindu caste system. In doing so, Dr. Ambedkar founded a unique school of Buddhism based on rationality, scientific thinking, and which totally rejects Hinduism. Now, interestingly, I converted to Buddhism when I was in England for a simple reason. The reason is, in India, according to the law, everybody is considered as a Hindu except for Jews, Muslims, Christians, and Zoroastrians. So even if you are an atheist, the law considers you an Hindu. The Hindu religious label is imposed against the individual's freedom and right to choose his own religion. So what I did was I went to England and I converted to Ambedkarite Buddhism. And when I did so, I took the 22 oaths which Dr. Ambedkar asked his followers to take when they convert to Buddhism. And these 22 vows explicitly rejects Hinduism. Because Buddhism, we should remember, has been heavily Hinduized over the centuries. Various elements of Hinduism and Brahmanism have been instilled and infiltrated into Buddhism. So if Buddhism has to function as a revolutionary tool to emancipate people from the caste system and from the evil of untouchability, Buddhism has to be devoid of any traces of Hinduism. So I wish I had prepared a PowerPoint presentation. But it will be interesting for me to briefly go through the 22 oaths I had to take when I converted to the Ambedkarite school of Buddhism. So you will know what exactly I mean when I say I am a Buddhist. So I am not a Sinhala Buddhist, I am not a Thai Buddhist, I am not a Burmese Buddhist, I am an Ambedkarite Buddhist. In the Indian sense, that's what I believe Buddhism means from a social reformist perspective. The 22 oaths are: I shall have no faith in Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, and I will never worship them. I shall have no faith in Rama or Krishna, and I will not worship them. I will be brief. I will summarize these oaths. I will not read the exact oaths. I shall have no faith in Gauri, Ganapati or other gods and goddesses of Hindus. I do not believe in the incarnation of God. I do not and shall not believe that Lord Buddha was the incarnation of Vishnu. I do not and shall not believe that Lord Buddha was the incarnation of Vishnu. I shall not perform Shraddha. I shall not allow any ceremonies to be performed by Brahmins. I shall believe in the equality of man. I shall endeavor to establish equality. I shall follow the Noble Eightfold Path of the Buddha. I shall follow the paramitas prescribed by the Buddha. I shall have compassion and loving kindness for all living beings and protect them. I shall not steal. I shall not tell lies. I shall not commit carnal sins. I shall not take intoxicants like liquor, drugs, etc. I shall endeavor to follow the Noble Eightfold Path and practice compassion and loving kindness. I renounce Hinduism, which is harmful for humanity and impedes the advancement and development of humanity because it is based on inequality, and adopt Buddhism as my religion. I firmly believe the Dhamma of the Buddha is the only true religion. I believe that I am having a rebirth. I solemnly declare and affirm that I shall hereafter lead my life according to the principles and teachings of the Buddha and his Dhamma. These are the 22 oaths I took when I converted to the Ambedkarite school of Buddhism. And this is what usually anybody who converts to the Ambedkarite school of Buddhism takes when they convert to Buddhism. Now, we come to the media. Now, this is my religion. This is what Buddhism is according to me. The Buddhism as propounded by Dr. Ambedkar, the architect of our constitution and a great social revolutionary who fought against the evils of caste system and untouchability, and a very renowned legal and intellectual genius who touched upon various subjects of intellectual endeavor. Now, this is my religion. This is Buddhism as I see it from a personal perspective. This is my religion. And I converted to Buddhism not because of any particular interest in religion. I'm not a religious person. I'm actually an atheist. I converted to Buddhism because, number one, it is an atheist religion. Buddhism does not believe in God. The actual original Buddhism does not believe in God. Ambedkarite Buddhism rejects belief in God. It is a scientific, rational philosophy. And secondly, I wanted to escape the caste system. I don't want the Hindu religious label to be imposed on me. I don't want to be called as a Hindu. Even though legally in India, the Hindu religion is imposed on me against my will, as I said before. The law says everybody is a Hindu except Jews, Muslims, Christians and Parsis. Even though Hindu religion is imposed on me against my will, I converted to Buddhism in a foreign country because I did not want my Buddhist identity to be violated by the legal imposition of the Hindu religious identity in India. So I converted to Buddhism because I wanted to escape the oppression of the caste system. I wanted to escape the caste system basically. And I wanted to escape all the regressive, reactionary, superstitious, misogynist, irrational aspects of the Hindu society I lived in. So basically I wanted to escape the Hindu religious label and the caste system. And I'm an atheist, so I converted to Ambedkarite Buddhism, which is an atheist, rational religion. Now that is about Buddhism as I see it. Now about the media, because the topic is Buddhism and the media. Now does the Indian media speak about Ambedkarite Buddhism or Buddhism as I see it in the Indian context? The answer is absolutely not. Every year, the birthday of Dr. Ambedkar comes every year, and it is supposed to be a national holiday. Now, how many of you, learned ladies and gentlemen, most of whom are graduates and postgraduates, how many of you, most of you know that or might know that Dr. Ambedkar is the architect of a constitution, he was the chairman of the drafting committee of a constitution and all that. But how many of you know about his conversion to the Buddhist religion and his advocacy of his own unique rational school of Buddhist religion as a tool of annihilating the Hindu caste system? I think most of you may not know, but some of you may know. So, as far as the media is concerned, the Indian media is concerned, because most of you are studying to be media professionals. Most of you are studying to be filmmakers or technical professionals in the field of the media. So most of you will be working in the media. But you should know that the Indian media as a reactionary agenda. You should understand the media from a sociological and a political perspective. My opinion is the Indian media does not speak the truth about Indian society. The Indian media is in the hands of reactionary, conservative interests. To be more particular, it is in the hands of Hindu religious orthodoxy and caste bigoted interests. To be more specific, it is in the hands of the mainstream media in India, particularly the English language media, is controlled by the Brahmins and the Baniyas and the upper caste and other caste bigoted interests. So you will not see anything in the Indian media that challenges the caste system. You will not see anything in the Indian media that speaks about Ambedkarite Buddhism. You will not see a line in any Indian magazine, or you will not see any visual in the Indian television channels, even on the birthday of Dr. Ambedkar, about Ambedkarite Buddhism or about the advocacy of Dr. Ambedkar, which used Buddhism as a tool to challenge the caste system. So, let me drink some water at this point. So, the Indian media is in the hands of regressive, reactionary interests. To give you an example, the Indian media routinely uses the term Islamic terrorism, right? And you all know that Hindu extremist and the Hindu fanatical groups have raped Catholic nuns in Orissa. They killed and murdered Christians in Orissa. They killed hundreds of Christians of Dalit and Adivasi background. They burnt a pastor and his 3 sons alive 10 years ago. But were those people, were those fanatics referred to as Hindu terrorists in the media? No. They were just referred to by their names. But the same heinous acts were carried out by a Muslim, he would have been referred to as an Islamic terrorist or a Muslim terrorist. And there you have the bias and the prejudice and the manners of the Indian media. So, the point I'm trying to make is, the Indian media is in the hands of, to put it more bluntly, it's controlled by Hindu religious orthodoxy and Hindu fanatical interests. You will not see anything that hurts the interests of the governing classes of India, which Dr. Ambedkar said comprises of Brahmins and the Baniyas. So, if you don't have this understanding, if you live in an artificial, imaginary situation, if you don't acknowledge these harsh social realities that controls the Indian media, then you will not make the right decisions, or you will not use the media for social change. You will not use the media or filmmaking for social change or for social reformation. You may just want to make films and be employed by a television channel or a newspaper organization to earn a salary, that's it. But if you're really interested in using the media as a tool of social change, if you want to use the media as a responsible tool of record to empower oppressed people, if you want to use the media as a tool for human rights advocacy, if you want to use the media to address social injustices, if you want to use the media to counter and challenge the mass murder, mass rape and the pillage that was perpetrated in Gujarat in the name of Hindu religion or in the name of any religion, if you want to use the media to counter atrocities that are perpetrated in the name of religion or caste, then you have to acknowledge these social realities. If you don't, you're living in an imaginary cuckoo land. Watching Rajnikant, Vijay and Surya bouncing around trees with beautiful girls. If you think that is your version of the media, then you will make a horrible media professional. To become a Surya, or if you want to become a filmmaker, masala filmmaker like Murugadan Sahari, you don't have to come to the Department of Visual Communications in Loyola College. I assume and presume that you have come here because you want to be socially responsible media professionals. I assume that you have come here because you want to use the media profession to leave a mark, to leave an enduring, indelible mark as a media professional for social change, for justice, and for creating a more equitable and fair society to our fellow human beings. So from that perspective, I have to say the Indian media totally ignores Buddhism, totally ignores Ambedkarite Buddhism. For me, Buddhism is Ambedkarite Buddhism from the Indian perspective. So there is not much to talk about the media and Buddhism in India. It's okay, it's okay. I just wanted to keep the water bottle on the table there, but I forgot to notice there was a huge step here. That's okay. So the Indian media, கல்லூரியில் படிக்கிறீங்க இறைவன் முன்னால் எல்லோரும் சமம் அப்படின்னா நீங்க வந்து உங்க மத போதகர்கள் ஆசிரியர்கள் உங்களுக்கு சொல்லி கொடுப்பாங்க இல்லையா I studied in a Christian school. I wish you go and watch a recent movie that was released a week ago, a movie called Lincoln. It's a very good movie. It's a movie that talks about how Abraham Lincoln politically maneuvered. It's a movie about the political maneuvers and political machinations of Abraham Lincoln to bring in the constitutional amendment to abolish slavery. So it's a very inspiring film. So similarly, you don't have the media, you don't have why don't filmmakers make a movie about abolition of caste or caste oppression, or why don't filmmakers make a movie about why Ambedkar embraced Buddhism? When Dr. Patel made a movie about Dr. Ambedkar, I met Dr. Patel. He's a doctor like me and also a filmmaker. I'm also a filmmaker. I make some documentary films. I also dabble in screenwriting. I studied screenwriting in the United States when I was much younger. I have great interest in filmmaking and in the media. I write articles on human rights issues on various websites like Countercurrents, and I also dabble in filmmaking. But compared to the media in America or in Europe, you'll realize the media in India is not proactive, or rather it is totally indifferent to social realities. So the media doesn't talk about why Ambedkar converted to Buddhism. It doesn't commemorate Ambedkar's conversion to Buddhism. And let me tell you when Ambedkar converted to Buddhism. He converted to Buddhism on October 14, 1956 in Nagpur. And there was a huge congregation of people who converted to Buddhism along with him. So Ambedkar's Buddhism was a revolutionary statement, revolutionary path against Hinduism, against the caste system, and against all evils that are perpetrated in the name of Hinduism. So naturally, the Indian media, controlled by Orthodox Hindus and Hindu upper caste and caste bigots, will not like to talk about Ambedkarite Buddhism in the media. They will not like to have a commemorative program on Ambedkar's birthday, or they would not like to have a program on why Dr. Ambedkar converted to Buddhism. Or they will not even try to address the Buddhist past of India. India was a Buddhist country. Take Tamil Nadu, take Tamil literature, take Sangam Tamil literature. 2000 years ago, Tamils were Buddhists and Jains predominantly. Before there was a revival of Brahmanism which infiltrated Tamil Nadu with the caste system and mass murdered all the Jains and Buddhists. Even today in the Hindu newspaper, which incidentally is owned by a very powerful Brahmin conglomerate, there was a news item about excavation of Tamil Brahmi inscriptions dating back to the Jain period of Tamil Nadu. So the media does not even acknowledge the fact, the media does not even acknowledge the truth that our heritage is Buddhist. For thousands of years, India was a Buddhist country. And the media does not want to tell you the truth about why and how Buddhism was destroyed in India. The media will not tell you why and how Buddhists were mass murdered in India. The media will not tell you why some anthropologists think that the people who are segregated and oppressed as untouchables are indeed the descendants of Buddhists who rebelled against Brahmanism and the caste system. The media will not tell you all these truths. The media is a reactionary tool that wants to perpetuate the caste system, that wants to perpetuate the hegemony of the upper caste and the caste bigots. It's a tool, the media in India is a tool that wants to perpetuate misogyny. If you take the TV serials on all the major Tamil channels, do you think all those TV serials empower women? They propagate reactionary, regressive, prurient, male chauvinistic attitudes towards women. And that's what the media is all about. If tomorrow one of you wants to make a television serial about a liberated woman who makes her own choices in life, whether it's choosing a life partner, whether it's choosing a profession, if you want to make a television film or a serial about liberated, empowered women, the media will not allow you to make it. First of all, you won't get advertisers. Lalita Jewelry will not give an ad to you, because they like to give an ad to a television serial that perpetuates regressive, reactionary and misogynist portrayals of women. And the media also will not say that Buddhist women in the past were enlightened feminist figures. You don't have to go far, you have to go to Sangam, you can go to Sangam Tamil literature. Take Elango Adigal, who wrote Silapadikaram. Take Sivaga Sintamani, take Agananu, Kurundogai. Kurundogai speaks about the love life of ancient Tamils. There was no arranged marriage, there was no caste-based arranged marriage in ancient Tamil land. Kurundogai, which speaks about the love life of ancient Tamils, was written during the Buddhist period. So it speaks about how men and women met, courted each other, cohabited without marriage, and then they declared their relationship to the society. The period of romance was called Kalavuvarkai. After they declared their relationship, it was called Karpuvarkai. That's all. There was no ceremony called marriage. What the Westerners are doing now, by way of living together, Tamils were doing in ancient times. So Tamil women and men were liberated during the Buddhist past. Now today you have Hindu religious extremists opposing Valentine's Day, today I think, isn't it? You have Hindu fanatic idiots talking on television. Let's beat up lovers, let's beat up boys and girls who are walking down the beach. And the media gives recognition to these nutcases. They will not invite me to speak, but they will invite such nutcases to speak on Valentine's Day. Who are these fellows to interfere in the personal choice of men and women? And they're like, the whole Buddhism as I see it, if it is really enforced and practiced and followed according to the vision of Dr. Ambedkar, is a revolutionary statement against all cannibalistic, regressive, oppressive elements in Hindu religion and Hindu society. And the media, the Indian media, totally ignores not only Ambedkarite Buddhism, the media totally ignores not only Dr. Ambedkar's vision of using Buddhism as a revolutionary tool against the caste system. The media also totally ignores the Buddhist past of India. The media never speaks about the Buddhist past of India. They will talk about Babri Masjid வந்து ராமர் கோயிலா இருந்தது இடிங்கடா அத பத்தி பேசுவாங்க. They will talk about Hindu mythology, concocted stories. They will say the coral reef in the Indian Ocean is Rama Bridge, so don't build the Setu Canal. They will use superstitious, irrational, mythological stories to scuttle developmental projects that will benefit the people who are oppressed by the caste system. If the Setu Canal is built, who will benefit? All the working people of Tamil Nadu derided as Shudras by the Hindu scriptures and segregated as untouchables will benefit. Basically, the backward caste and scheduled caste people will benefit. Entire southern Tamil Nadu's economy will be transformed if the Setu Canal is built. But those people who believe that their sense of identity is based on oppressing and inferiorizing and exploiting the working people of India as Shudras. For thousands of years, the working people of India were derided as Shudras, denied education, thrust into degrading physical labor, and forced to marry into people who indulged in similar labor, thereby creating endogamous caste identities, thereby creating vertically graded caste identities to divide and rule the working people of India. And the working people of India, thus oppressed, were further segregated as untouchables, and who were further thrust into degrading and inhumane labor based on caste descent. If this has to be protected, if the religious and societal power enjoyed by the so-called twice-born caste, the Brahmins, Baniyas and Kshatriyas, the Brahmins with the priestly caste, the Baniyas with the trading caste, they control the Indian media, they control the Indian corporations, they control the Indian business corporation. 90% of the Indian judiciary are Brahmins. Who owns the Times Now channel? Who owns the Indian Express? Who owns the Hindu? Who owns India Today? You and me? Does Loyola College own all these newspapers? Who's responsible for spreading information as news to the Indian people? Who controls Indian media? If you don't have this understanding, you're unfit to be media professionals. if you don't use your talent to create your own media organization for the people oppressed by the caste system, you are unfit to be media professionals. I wish every one of you pool your talent, pool your resources, create your own newspaper, create your own filmmaking unit, make films, bring out journals to challenge this bigotry that has plagued our nation for centuries and for millennia. So to conclude, I want to say, finally, Buddhism as I see it, as propounded by Dr. Ambedkar, is a revolutionary tool to annihilate the caste system and to annihilate all evil associated with the Hindu caste system. And the media, controlled by reactionary, Brahmin and upper caste interests, totally ignores Buddhism, totally ignores Dr. Ambedkar and his advocacy of Buddhism as a revolutionary tool to annihilate the caste system. The media totally hides the Buddhist past of India. The media is a tool of caste-bigoted, misogynist, male-chauvinist, oppressive, caste supremacist fanatics. That is the reality of the Indian media. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your vibrant information. It's time for questions now. Any questions?
Thank you.
Sir, apart from joining Ambedkar's Buddhist and following his principles as such, what measures have you taken to combat this, as you say, this male chauvinist, this bigotry in society? What measures have you taken?
See, I am an individual citizen. My resources are limited. I have to function within my resources. I try my best to contribute to annihilating the caste system, and I try my best to contribute to challenging male chauvinism, as you mentioned, within my resources, within my capabilities. So what do? I write articles. I write articles in the media. You can find some of my articles in a website called Countercurrents. I also write in a Tamil media organ called Dalit Murasu, and I motivate my patients who come to me. I motivate my patients, to follow the principles of Periyar and Ambedkar. And when I do counseling to my patients, I take into consideration the social realities of India when I give counseling. For example, when a woman comes to counseling. Now you heard about the Sigmund Freud theory of neurosis, the ego and the superego. You heard about Sigmund Freud's hypothesis that repression of sexuality leads to neurosis. A lot of Indian women are sexually repressed because if Indian women express their sexuality, they are stigmatized, they are harassed. If they openly express their freedom to choose their life partner, or if they indulge in dating to choose a life partner or a boyfriend, or if they choose a form of life that asserts their independence, Indian women are harassed, stigmatized, they are subjected to name calling, all sorts of things. So I get a lot of women patients in my own practice as a counseling psychotherapist who complain of neurosis. And most of the times I found out the reason is the social repression of their natural aspirations. The social repression of their natural aspirations, whether it is a professional aspiration or sexual aspiration, whatever it is. So when I take that aspect into consideration, it empowers my women patients and helps them to heal. Apart from that, I would like to write a lot more to combat the caste system and all the evil associated with caste bigotry, untouchability, segregation, everything. And of course male chauvinism, as you mentioned. Because the women are most oppressed in India and most disempowered in India. But right now, all I am doing is writing, speaking, advocating, but in the future, if my resources increase and if my capabilities as a human being increases, I would like to start a movement, social movement. And first of all, I was telling my friend earlier this morning, because today is Valentine's Day, I was telling my friend, who was the editor of Dalit magazine, that if I had the money, I would set up marriage centers in each and every town in Tamil Nadu to help lovers to marry. You know, so you know that due to Periyar's advocacy, he brought in a law called Suyamariyadai Thirumana Sattam. According to the law, a man and woman can be legally declared as a man and a wife if they either exchange rings or exchange garlands or take a verbal vow, or if they tie the tali. They can do any one of these things in front of two witnesses, and that is a legally valid marriage. Most youngsters don't know about this law. Most young people don't know about this law. So, to a young man and a young woman who want to challenge the social repression and the religious repression, in most of the cases, it could be Hindu religious repression or repression of any other religion that represses the love or that represses the relationship, or if a couple want to challenge the caste bigotry that oppresses the relationship, they can come to one of my marriage centers and they can have a Suyamariyadai wedding and get the marriage registered. So it makes it easier for a couple to get married. Because they have put a reactionary conservative interests, want to create hurdles in the path of young people to choose their own life partners. Because that is a very radical act. Getting married is a radical, getting married outside your caste is a very radical act that challenges the caste system. So reactionary, caste bigoted, orthodox interests, they don't like it. That's the reason why they oppose Valentine's Day. Hindu religious fanatics, whose ideologues are mostly Brahmins and Brahminical ideologues, like so-called Veer Savarkar, who was a conspirator in the assassination of Mahatma Gandhi, and all the other Brahminical ideologues. They have a vested interest in keeping the caste system going for posterity. So they don't like young couple falling in love and getting married outside the caste and religion. That is the real reason why religious fanatics, Hindu religious fanatics, oppose Valentine's Day. So the law could be done. But according to Dr. Ambedkar and Periyar, the simple thing you can do to challenge the caste system is to, according to Periyar, become an atheist, become a rationalist, and according to Dr. Ambedkar, embrace rational atheist Buddhism. But unfortunately, in India, the Hindu religious identity is imposed on Buddhists. Because according to the law, which says everybody is a Hindu except Jews, Muslims, Christians, and Zoroastrians. To challenge that, I went to England. I told the British government, look, I converted to Buddhism. If I go back to India, the law will say I'm a Hindu. So that violates my freedom of religion. So give me political asylum. And they gave me. I'll show you the documents. So I did that to create a record to prove that in India legally there is no freedom of religion in reality. So I could do more in terms of advocacy. So all I could do is speak and write to create a change in people's minds. That's what intellectuals do. And that's what Dr. Ambedkar did, that's what Periyar did, that's what I would like to do.
So do you think that converting to Buddhism will help eradicate caste system? Because half of the people do not know what is Buddhism, as it is not very popular in India. So even if a section of people convert to Buddhism, the caste system still prevails in the society.
Now, converting to Buddhism or any other religion, even Christianity, no, there are Christians who practice caste. Even though there is no mention of caste in the Holy Bible, according to the Holy Bible, everybody is created equal before God, right? Am I wrong or right? Yes. I'm right. But among Christians there is caste. A lot of Christians practice the bigotry of superiority and inferiority based on caste. If you look at the matrimonial columns, you will say, you can read, or you can see Vedala Christian, Dalit Christian, 1 year Christian, Nadar Christian. This Nadar 1 year and Vedala mentioned in the Bible? It is not mentioned in the Bible. So, your question is, even after converting to Buddhism, where is the guarantee that caste system will be destroyed? Now, Buddhism, converting to Buddhism or Christianity or even Islam for that matter, Periyar at times advocated even conversion to Islam for his Dalit followers. But Periyar advocated a modernist, reformist version of Islam he saw in Turkey. But Turkish Muslims are very modernist after the reign of Kemal Atatürk, who was a modernist social reformer. So Periyar advocated the modernist version of Islam he saw in Turkey. Now, conversion is a slap on the face on the bigoted, reactionary, regressive Hindu socio-religious entity. It is a slap on the face. You're putting the caste system on me. You're calling me an untouchable. I'll slap you, I'll leave you. I'm not a Hindu anymore. It is a slap on the face. It is a revolutionary act. But to truly destroy the caste system, to prevent Christians from calling themselves Dalit Christians and Nada Christians and Velada Christians and Maniyar Christians, or Pillai Christians or whatever, or Nayar Christians or whatever, or to prevent even caste system among Muslims, or to prevent caste system among Buddhists. Now we should realize the difference is, the major difference is, the caste system in Hinduism is sanctioned by theology. The caste system in Hinduism is sanctioned by theology, it is sanctioned by the Hindu scriptures, which forms the basis of the Hindu religious law. But in Christianity, there is no theological sanction for the caste system. Does the Pope believe in the caste system? Do the brothers and sisters of the congregation that runs this college, do they believe in the caste system? They would not, at least theologically. Even though caste system has pervaded Christians. The difference is, there is theological, religious sanction for the caste system in Hindu religion. Caste system is present even in Hindu temples, in their rituals. Brahmins have a monopoly on Hindu priesthood. Brahmins have a monopoly on Hindu seminaries. Does any caste have a monopoly on Christian seminaries? No. Anybody who is a Christian can train to be a priest in a Christian seminary. So, your question is, even after conversion, caste identities may linger on, even among converted people. But conversion is a slap on the face. It is a tool to cut the rope. After cutting the rope, the person has to run, has to swim, has to liberate himself. That is not the end of the journey. But according to me, conversion to Buddhism is a tool to challenge, I said challenge, the reactionary, regressive and evil aspects of Hindu religion and the caste system. But after conversion, I have to continue the journey to combat the caste system, to combat misogyny. There is misogyny among Americans in America. It could be even after, what I'm saying is, conversion is a tool, is a slap on the face on the Hindu religious social entity. Conversion to Buddhism is a slap on the face on the Hindu social religious entity. Or rather, it is a knife that cuts the rope that bonds me to the Hindu social religious entity that oppresses me, stigmatizes me. So now I proudly tell wherever I go, I'm a Buddhist. I say I'm Ambedkar. I don't call myself a Hindu or a scheduled caste. I don't use the caste name of my ancestors. I say I'm a Buddhist. And I say I'm equal to you as much as anyone else. That Buddhism has empowered me in that way. So otherwise, you know, if I call myself a Hindu, they'll say what caste I am. So that there's a difference between, that's true even for Christians or Muslims. At a social psychological level, converting to Buddhism or even to Christianity or Islam gives an individual oppressed by the caste system a sense of social equality. It is not stigmatized anymore. There could be caste discrimination in the Christian church or among Muslims, or there could be practices related to caste among Buddhists, that's a different matter. And as I said, the journey has to continue. We have to work further to destroy all remnants. As Dr. Ambedkar said, to uproot caste system in all its forms. But to answer your question, conversion to Buddhism, as far as I can say, is a slap on the face on the Hindu social religious entity that oppresses me and stigmatizes me. It is a knife that cuts the rope that bonds me to an oppressive social missionary, social religious missionary that oppresses me. And it gives me a sense of equality, a sense of pride, a sense of self-respect. I can go to any forum, to any place, to any country and say, I'm a Buddhist. I'm not any caste, I'm not, I don't belong to any caste or I don't belong to any identity that stigmatizes me or inferiorizes me as a human being. Thank you.